Today it's time for a really exciting match of top-level StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you is a game of Terran versus Protoss, where in the top left-hand corner of the map, we are now looking inside of the main base of Maru. Now the reason why I'm excited is because of this man right here. I mean, he's considered to be one of the very best StarCraft 2 players in the world. I'm personally a massive fan of his playstyle, but sadly, he seems to really only participate in tournaments that do not release their replay packs, so I don't get to cast nearly as many of his games as I would like to. Now his opponent, definitely no slouch whatsoever. In the opposite corner of Thunderbird, the blue Protoss player, we have none other than Zest. Now this man obviously has been around for many years. He won 3 GSO code S's throughout his career, a total prize pool earnings throughout his career actually of $455,000. There's no denying that Zest is one of the very best as well. But I mean, I do get to cast more Zest games, okay? I'm especially excited right now to cast some Maru. As we'll be making this video, he is the rank 2 in the world. I'm currently in the process of preparing some videos in advance as I will be traveling to BlizzCon shortly. So as of me making this video, the round of 16 of the World Championship Series will still have to be played. Although I'm assuming by the time you're watching this, that will probably have concluded. Now he's together in a group with several stats at time, if I'm not mistaken. A ridiculous group for a round of 16 in particular. Interestingly enough, he's currently the rank 2 on the planet. Sero is the current rank 1 on the planet. However, when it comes to total earnings for StarCraft 2, throughout his career, Maru is still actually number 1. So when it comes to tournament earnings alone, he has earned a little bit over $785,000. And I think he's like 22 years old or something along those lines. I mean, he's got a very healthy couple of years ahead of him when it comes to pro gaming age. I mean, usually those pro gamers now retire well into their 30s. So we'll see what Maru is gonna look like a couple of years from now. But there's no denying he's one of the very best, and that I don't get to cast nearly as many games as I would like to. Now, I guess this year's BlizzCon will also determine whether or not he will remain at that top position when it comes to his StarCraft 2 tournament earnings. So BlizzCon this year has a total prize pool of $700,000. Depending on how well he does, I guess, against Sero. I mean, Sero's very close to his total earnings. Depending on how well he does in the tournament, I would imagine it might be either Sero or him who comes out ahead after BlizzCon wraps up. Although at this point, I mean, I've said it time and time again, Sero is looking extremely good right now. Wouldn't be surprised if he actually still wins another World Championship Series. I mean, if that's the case, he would certainly be considered to be the best player in the world. Maybe the greatest of all time as well, but anyways, here we go. Reaper made its way across the map and scouting everything. Very quick expansion on that low ground, and well, the Stargate was also spotted. If you didn't just click on the structure already, which you may not have, he did see the form of it finishing up. So just by judging the shape right there of the building, well, he saw a little bit more than that when the Reaper died. He definitely could have determined that that is indeed going to be a Stargate. Now, this is what I mean. This is what I mean about Zest, okay? Zest is not afraid to not necessarily play the matchup, because this is ridiculous, going for a third base already, at least that's what I think he wants to do, but instead playing the opponent. So Zest knows, okay, I'm going up against Maru. Maru loves cheesing, and he loves playing macro, okay? Now, he's basically the complete package when it comes to playing with the Terran pieces. However, he, generally speaking, has very set patterns, right? Like pretty much all of the StarCraft 2 players have. This third Nexus will likely not be scouted until it's already something that the Terran player cannot deal with. I mean, the Reaper right now is gone. He's playing defensively here. The Stargate essentially forces out a Cyclone, and that means not until a little while later is when he's going to be able to get more scouting information. And while that's going on, obviously Zest is going to be able to plant that down, and he should be able to get those probes and mining those minerals pretty quickly. Now, when you look at the amount of units he actually has, though, it's 2 Adepts and 1 Oracle, which is really nothing. He's not really having a lot of unit production here either. He could have just been overwhelmed if the Terran knew that this was going on, and if he would just simply move across the map. Especially that Cyclone is terrifying here. But judging by what is happening here on the side of Maru, I don't think that is going to be the case. It will be a quick third command center. It's being built right here inside of the main base of the Terran. Still blind, right? I've seen a few people ask in the comment section of the YouTube videos, and yes, I try and read as many of those as I possibly can. Why don't Terran players scan more often in the early game? Now, generally speaking, right? Terrans have to make the decision whether or not they want to drop one of these mules or if they want to go for a scan inside of the base. Now, a mule mines for about, give or take, 270 minerals in total. It's the same amount of energy to drop a mule as it is to scan your opponent's base, meaning that the value of a scan is, well, basically 270 minerals. Right? And that's a lot. Like, that's not something you can just waste here in the early game. So usually we see players not saving up scans until they are worried of, say, like Dark Templar. In the earlier stages of the game, we will usually see scouting with either like Medivacs or Widowmine drops or, you know, just simply that Reaper or sometimes a Hellion or, you know, those kinds of units instead because it's much, much cheaper. Even losing 2 Hellions is better than, you know, than utilizing a scan, even though it feels really bad. Really important unit nowadays in the TVP matchup, the Raven. He can definitely go for some powerful timing attacks with it as well. He's actually going to hide it in the corner of his base. Doesn't want it to be found just yet. We'll see though. Third command center right now does finish up, and obviously, while his economy is looking pretty good, all things considered, there it does get scouted. The third nexus is up and running. If you look right now to the workers section right here at the bottom side of the screen, 64 probes already here for Zest. He can max out at 66. Well, there it is. Well, he's at 67 right now, but regardless, he right now has full saturation on 3 bases at the 6-minute mark. This is one of those builds that's very Zest-esque. And what I mean with that is that he, like I mentioned earlier, is playing the opponent and not so much the matchup. I would never advise a Protoss player to advise this build on the ladder. Yeah, we are on Thunderbird, so there's only a single ramp leading into the natural and the third base, so maybe it's safer on this map than on others, but this is still very much so a Zest-esque build where he's just simply trying to confuse his opponent. He's playing a variety of you know, styles. He never really plays the same game, it feels like. So, speaking of not playing the same game, he's now followed it up right here with double robotics facility. So I don't see any like Psionic Templar or anything along those lines. I mean, there is a Twilight Council, but it looks like he wants to go for the extended thermal lance. So Robotics Bay right now researching the Colossus ranged upgrade. He's going to be able to get himself a very scary army out here. Now, obviously, you do need to respond against this, right? If you are a Terran player, you can't really just sit back. Well, he can try and push into it, but I feel like that's going to be a bad idea. I mean, obviously, the interference matrix can help out, but this is still going to be a little bit of a gamble, because if you don't really have a counter to Colossi, they can deal so much damage, especially with a Warp Prism joining in too. Now, interference matrix can disable Colossi, so obviously, if the Colossi are out of this equation, that Protoss army is looking pretty pathetic. Looks like Zest, though. I mean, he knows that his army is happening, right? Oh, I love that. Ooh, there you go. Blinks forward. Gets one of the Vikings. Looks like he feels confident enough to actually now plant down the 4th base. That would actually be a power move if he plants it down right now. Nice little bit of blinking, though. He's gonna probably try and see if he can pick up these 2 Cyclones. And even though he was under a lot of pressure, he's just like, you know what? I don't care. I'm just gonna go ahead and pick up that 4th Nexus immediately. So great stasis ward there. Really now allowing Zest to just simply build up that Protoss Death Ball. And this is starting to look really, really scary. Liberators are going to be the name of the game. Okay. I wonder if maybe he should, like, okay, yeah, he's adding on the Fusion Core, and then probably what is going to be a Advanced Ballistic, so that's the ranged upgrade for these Liberators. You either need, like, Vikings or Liberators or something along those lines to deal with these Colossi, right? Because otherwise you're not going to be able to hold on to that ramp very easily. But at this point in the game, Zest doesn't even really need to push up. If it's going to be 4 base versus 3, ooh. Oh, love that. Did you see that? So he got the kill, and he didn't take any damage. If you blink at the perfect moment, you don't actually take any damage from the Widowmine. The thing is, right now, it's like 4 base Protoss here versus 3 base Terran. And that is all from that mind game that Zest played earlier, where he took this 3rd Nexus extremely early, and it just simply allows him a massive army. Right now, look at that. That's also not very common, right? He's going for the Dark Shrine and the Templar Archives. So for the High Templar, he's getting both of them at the same time. Very cool. Now, Maru is going to start up that 4th command center. Pretty passive game, but I do think we're going to lead up right here towards one big clash. The issue right now for Maru is that he hasn't secured another expansion yet, but his army is very menacing. You cannot move up that ramp, though. Oh, well, he's going to try. Wow, really? Okay, I was going to say, I think that was a bit of a misclick. Maru as well, you know, he's like, okay, yeah, no, feel free. You can walk into my Widow Mines. You can walk into my Liberation Zones. That's kind of where I need you to be. Scan right there will confirm, though, that most of that Protoss army has already retreated. Don't want to be overzealous here. if you are the Protoss. He does have a couple of probes mining over at the 4th, but keep in mind, he doesn't really have too many workers here, more than his opponent, and those mules do make up for that difference. So Maru actually sitting on 75 harvesters. He's just simply oversaturated the base so he can secure the 4th and drop mules and probably go for a planetary fortress all at once. Zest right now securing the additional gases over here too. He started up Psionic Templar. So he's going to be able to go for, or a Psionic Stormrod, he's going to be able to go for his High Templar. We also now already see a Fleet Beacon and another Stargate coming up. So very macro-focused game, but I'm looking at this right now, right? I'm really favoring the way that Zest is approaching this right now. Yeah, I don't really like the addition of this many Stalkers at this point in the game, but he's got everything going for him. And he's going to certainly be able to get himself a really good engagement. Like, if he gets himself a really good engagement, he can make an insane switch right now to, for example, Ghosts with that new upgrade. That's the new upgrade that increases the radius of EMP. Or rather, obviously, Zest... Zest can't get that, but I mean, he's gonna be able to transition towards not ghosts, but towards like big Stargate beefy units and all that. And you know, if this fight though goes in favor of Terran, he is gonna be able to go for those ghosts and then the big beefy EMPs. We'll see, man. Love this slow push actually from Maru as well, utilizing those liberators to try and force the Protoss player backwards. Looks like Zest may very well be setting up a bit of a flank. And when I say a bit of a flank, I mean like an absolutely massive flank. What's going on over here? There's a gateway and a couple of shield batteries and a photon... Wait, no. One shield battery, one photon cannon. Very interesting. Is he gonna mine out... Oh, he already has! He actually already created a little bit of wiggle room over there. Look at that one cheeky probe. That one cheeky probe and his brother over there just simply opened up the front door. That now means that the 3rd base is in a lot of trouble. And in the meantime, right, while some of that Terran army is distracted to move on over to the 3rd base, Zest is gonna commit over at the planetary fortress. And the planetary does finish up in time. There's still a lot of scary Terran units here as well, though. Interference Matrix gonna make this a little bit easier, although it looks like the Raven will go down. 24 SCVs, though, fall in the blink of an eye. And just with that cheeky little move, Zest just ended up absolutely demolishing the economy there of the Terran. Now keep in mind, Maru still was over-making a lot of those workers as well. He did now also produce 2 additional orbital commands. So even though, yeah, a bunch of SCVs died, there's still a lot of economy here in the form of mules. That income is going to be great. That income is going to be awesome. Just keep an eye out right here in the top left-hand corner once these mules start returning their minerals. At the same time, though, Liberators right now setting up their liberation zones once again. Stalkers apparently decide to blink across right now, too. This is very risky because that means that these Colossi are going to be much less protected. Once again, though, Terran has to fight into this really weird area, right, where he's essentially fighting into a choke point himself. All things considered, once again, a little bit of damage here is done, but I think that the first engagement went a lot better there for Zest, right? The one where he managed to kill like 1 million workers. Tempests right now coming up as well, by the way. So Tempests are going to be really scary. They're going to be great against these Liberators in particular. But right now, Terran is not in the greatest position anymore. He's going to start target firing down the Planetary Fortress. Looks like the Planetary Fortress will go down. Excellent zoning right there by Zest. Really forcing his opponent up that main ramp and then force fielding and preventing it from moving down. That right now does mean, oh my god, hold that thought, because the High Templar are coming in from the side with a massive set of Psionic Storms. Absolutely demolishing and reducing the HP there of a lot of these Terran units. And apparently Zest right now, rather than backing off, he decides, you know what, if I land those storms, I'm gonna stand here and fight. An orbital commando is flying over. Reinforcing Protoss units are coming up here as well. Zest is smelling blood in the water, but he needs to be careful. That Terran production is still not gonna be something to, you know, just simply oversee, right? Like there's gonna be, or to look over rather. Like there's gonna be a ton of Terran units still coming up. And Marines and Marauders with Medivacs, pretty great here against those Stalkers. Now the Tempest edition here is awesome, okay? So the Tempest basically can pick up a lot of those flying units from a ridiculous range, meaning that the Liberators can be nullified, but also those Medivacs. And the Medivacs are actually really important. Once again, big brave blink forward, and all of the Stalkers are derping around trying to get away from this area. Great target firing here as well from Maru, trying to go after some of those weakened Stalkers. There are a couple of High Templar over here, and you know what? This little staging ground that Zest has set up is really annoying. Super painful to deal with. Main base right now will also confirm that there's no additional production here in these Stargates, and instead it's just going to be a lot of gateway units. I think this is Zest trying to see if he can close the game out. That's going to be a bit of a gamble. But I mean, he's going for so many gateway units. He has a massive force. There's no more planetary fortress to fall back to. Huge EMPs. All of those Protoss units just lost all of their shields. You gotta be careful. I think you need to wait until you get those shields regenerated. Maybe Terran doesn't want to wait for that long, though. Ooh. Yeah, those Tempests, man. They're laying down the law. These Tempests are a massive annoyance. Right now, forced to back up. Siege a little bit further away. All of the Protoss units right now are regenerating their shields. EMPs will need to land. There's a Ghost once again looking to land, and he does land it, but not on top of the High Templar. That right now means that the High Templars still have full energy. They're going to be able to land their Storms once again on all of those juicy Terran bio units. The boys are pulled away from the command center, and because there's no planetary fortress there, Maru doesn't really have a location to back up into either. The Colossi still remain. The Tempests still remain as well, and Zest, in an extremely well-fought game, is the one who obtains the victory. It really spiraled all after that really quick third base, right? So as soon as Zest decided to take the third base, he's like, okay, if you hit me right now, I'm dead. However, if we go on for a little while longer in the game, I'm going to be the one in charge of the tempo. I'm going to be the one you will have to respond to. And usually I see Maru as, well, like I mentioned earlier, like the complete Terran package, but he definitely favors that really tempo-focused play where he's just dropping and pushing and hitting you at multiple different angles. And Zest just simply never allowed that. He played the opponent, not so much the matchup. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. If you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. A special shout out to the Patreon supporters. Thank you guys very much for your generosity. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright? And I will see you once again in the next one.